Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News with the Sentinel. I'm Oinitam. Here are the top stories in today morning's The Sentinel. First is about the government's move to build some shelters for the flood affected people. These are being called multi-purpose flood shelters. Now, unable to tame the flood fury in the state government, we are referring to the Assam state. The state government has conceived the idea of erecting multi-purpose flood shelters in flood-prone areas of the state to let affected people coexist with the natural calamity. Now, the second round, in fact, this is actually the third round of floods have already hit the state. Several areas like Dhemaji and other places, several villages have already been submerged due to flood situation. The brain behind this innovative and first of its kind move is that of the Assam State Disaster Management Authority, Government of Assam. The entire plan is to provide hygienic shelters to flood affected people in the state and to put an end to the age-old shelters given to such people in schools and other public buildings with makeshift arrangements, often in inhuman conditions. Each of the multi-purpose flood shelters will be a two-story dwelling structure much above the floodwater level. Now, several districts have also started building such shelters in high-rise areas. So they are also looking at the toilet facility, because what usually happens is that when people are shifted to relief camps, which are either set up in schools or hospitals and such other public buildings, always the place is not really hygienic. They have water issues. Drinking water problem is always there, and also toilets are another huge concern, which end up actually spreading more infection and disease once the floods subsides. Therefore, now the government and several district administration taking up this particular thing of creating high flood shelters on a height, so that even when there are floods, people and along with their cattle, they have some spots where they can take shelter. Now, schools in Guwahati are going to reopen from Monday. Of course, not all classes would begin. It's only for classes 9 to 12. And that too, the government of Assam, the education department, has already issued the standard operating procedures. They have also released this schedule according to which these classes will be held. Not all classes would be held every day of the week. They have actually released a roster which specifically mentions when classes 9, 10, 11 would be held, when classes 12 will be held. Those details are there on our website, sentinelasm.com. Now, what the Education Minister, Himanta Biswa Sharma, has said is that it would not be mandatory for students to attend schools, even as this board has released standard operating procedure to reopen schools from September 21 in the state. Sharma told reporters that students would come to schools only with written consent from their parents. He said 50% teachers would come to schools every day, and now the government will conduct COVID tests on 10% students and teachers daily. In case more COVID positive cases are detected in a particular school, the headmaster or principal of that particular institution will take a decision on continuing classes after having consultation with the respective deputy commissioner. Initially, the schools will start informal classes, and formal classes will begin only after assessment of COVID-19 situation. This is what the minister has said. As per the SOP, students from class 9 to 12 will be allowed to attend schools and colleges, while all other classes below class 9 will remain suspended. It further stated that for the students of class 9 and 12, classes will be held on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So classes 9 and 12 students with parents' consent can go to the schools on and their classes will be held on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. On the other hand, for classes 10 and 11, the classes will be held on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So there's a detailed SOP that the government has released, and you can check the details in our website, sentinelsm.com. Now, moving on to news from the parliament, Prime Minister Narendra Modi attacked opposition parties on Friday, saying that they are lying to farmers. He also claimed that the NDA government is doing what they themselves promised in their manifestos, referring to the Congress. The Prime Minister said the bills were necessary to safeguard the farmers from middlemen. He was speaking after inaugurating the Kosi Mega Bridge. Farmers are now given new independence in agriculture. Now they will have more options and opportunities to sell their produce. It was necessary to bring these bills. It was necessary to bring these bills to protect them from middlemen. These are farmers' shields. That is what the Prime Minister said in his virtual message after inaugurating the Kosi Mega Bridge. In an apparent dig at the Congress party, he said that those who ruled India for decades are now lying to farmers. He also said that those who are objecting about the bill promised to remove the contentious APMC Act in their election manifestos. He also cited an example of how Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar had got rid of the APMC Act. Now, the chief minister's comments comes amidst the farmers' bill, which actually saw the Shiromani Akali Dal MP and Minister Harsimrat Kaur Badal resigning from in fact, the Modi cabinet, and she did so because her party, the SAD, actually thought that the bills that the Modi government is bringing in Parliament are not very favorable for the farmers and goes against the principles of the Shiromani Akali Dal party. In fact, the SAD has been a long-term ally of BJP. Coming back to news from the state of Assam, ASU Chief Advisor Dr. Samujjal Bhattacharya has drawn attention of the Office of the Prime Minister of India to the issue of mental depression in view of COVID-19 pandemic. He said mental depression is proving to be more dangerous than coronavirus. The COVID-19 fallout has led to mental health repercussion amongst certain sections of youth, a spectrum of triggers such as unemployment, inability to pay fees and rent, inaccessibility to smartphones and data packs, recurring data glitches, uncertainty over exams. All of these has caused distress and increasing suicide attempts amongst youth. This is what Dr. Bhattacharya told the Sentinel on Friday. So, in fact, there was a study conducted by the Nagaland Health and Family Welfare Department that too showed that people are going through a lot of mental anxiety, depression, and suffering from insomnia as well, and all because of the COVID-19 pandemic and the situation that has developed over the past 6 months since the pandemic hit India. Now, staying on with news from the state of Assam, just to keep leaders of smaller ethnic communities in tune with the government, the state has a number of autonomous councils, development councils, and development authorities. The government doles out grants to such councils for the development of their respective communities. However, apart from lack of development in most of such communities, such councils have the dubious distinction of not submitting their annual accounts to the authority concerned. Financial irregularities by such councils have not escaped the notice of Comptroller and Auditor General, that's the CAG. During the past 5 years, from 2014 to 2019, the state government pumped in 1,176 crore rupees to 6 autonomous councils, 31 development councils, and 24 development authorities. However, the CAG caught them on the wrong foot for not submitting their annual accounts. And here is what the CAG said. Non-submission of accounts by autonomous councils, development councils, and development authorities is violative of prescribed financial rules. and directives. This points to inadequate internal control and deficient monitoring mechanism of the state government. So the CAG clearly pulling up the state government as well as the development councils and the autonomous councils as well as the development authorities. Now let's move to news from other parts, other states of the region. 2 people died in Arunachal Pradesh due to floods. Incessant rains in the past couple of days triggered floods in several districts of Arunachal Pradesh, while 2 people died in Leparada district of the state. This happened on Friday. In fact, Chief Minister Pema Khandu has condoled the death and he had tweeted about it as well. 2 persons, namely Bata Doe and Purna Bahadur Thakuria, were reportedly washed away by the sudden flood in Igo River under the circle of Leparada district at Igo camp on Friday. According to the report, the body of Thakuria could be retrieved while the body of Doe is still missing. The sudden flood in the district happened due to a blockade of the river in upper stream by a massive landslide triggered by incessant rain. And now update of COVID in Arunachal Pradesh. The tally has gone up to 6,851 after 159 more people tested positive for COVID. That is the update as far as the COVID situation in the state of Arunachal Pradesh is concerned. The number of active cases has gone up to 1,871. The recoveries stand at 4,967. The recovery rate stands at 72.50%. Staying on with news from Arunachal Pradesh, Special Investigating Team Dr. Hemant Tiwari has informed that the next hearing of 25 people against whom summons were issued from the court in connection to the PRC protest case is scheduled on December 2nd this year. He said that a summons was issued on September 8th this month by the court. Among the 25 cases, 10 of the cases were transferred to the SIT, that's the Special Investigating Team, for further investigation. Addressing the media at the police headquarters, Tiwari said that the 25 accused persons have been charge sheeted and summons have been issued and served. He said that the department is making all effort to bring the case to a conclusion at the earliest. These are some of the top stories that we have this morning. Now, in Tripura figures in the bottom of COVID-19 death rate, while 6 of the 8 northeastern states' recovery rates are less than the national average of 78.86%. This is what the Union Health Ministry data showed. The data was shared yesterday, the Union Health Ministry data on the COVID situation in the northeastern states. According to the data released by the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Tripura topped the death ratio among the 8 northeastern states in terms of COVID-19 cases with 1.09%, followed by Sikkim 0.97%, Meghalaya 0.71%, Manipur 0.60%, Assam 0.35%, Nagaland 0.28%, and Arunachal Pradesh in the bottom of the list with 0.19%. Mizoram is the only state where no people have died so far due to coronavirus. According to the health officials in Aizawl, Mizoram so far has reported 1,534 positive cases, including 274 women, while 949 patients have recovered from COVID. These are some of the top stories from the Sentinel this morning. News and updates continue on sentinelassam.com, and you can also check all our news updates and videos across the social media platforms of Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Till we meet again, take care, stay safe. Goodbye.